5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Start. The world is experiencing rapid changes in climate that are affecting the natural balance of ecosystems and the comfort of human life. Among the most alarming signs of this transformation are the rising frequency of heat waves and the accelerated melting of glaciers. These two phenomena are not only interconnected but also serve as indicators of the larger problem of global warming. The increase in average global temperatures is driving both extreme heat events and the loss of ice masses in polar and mountainous regions. Together, these developments pose serious threats to health, environment, water availability, agriculture, and long-term sustainability of life on Earth. Heat waves, once considered occasional, are now becoming common in many regions around the world. These are prolonged periods of unusually high temperatures, often accompanied by dry conditions and little relief during nights. Such events are particularly dangerous for the elderly, children, and those with existing health conditions. During a heat wave, the human body struggles to regulate its internal temperature, leading to dehydration, exhaustion, and in some severe cases, even death. The risk is further intensified in cities, where the urban heat island effect makes concrete-heavy areas significantly warmer than surrounding rural zones. Lack of trees, poor ventilation, and overuse of air conditioning only add to the discomfort and health hazards. In rural areas, prolonged heat impacts agriculture by damaging crops, drying up water sources, and reducing soil fertility. Farmers often witness reduced yields, which leads to financial stress and food insecurity. Livestock also suffer from heat stress, affecting milk production, health, and overall productivity. The imbalance created in the agricultural cycle leads to increased prices in the market and threatens food availability for both urban and rural populations. Moreover, schools, workplaces, and transport systems face disruptions as the high temperatures make it difficult for people to go about their daily activities. On the other side of the climate crisis is the alarming rate at which glaciers are melting. Glaciers are massive bodies of ice that have accumulated over centuries. They play a crucial role in maintaining global climate stability and serve as freshwater sources for millions of people. With global temperatures rising steadily, glaciers in both polar and mountainous regions are retreating at unprecedented speeds. Satellite images and scientific studies show the thinning and shortening of glaciers across the globe. This melting not only contributes to rising sea levels, but also affects water availability for agriculture, hydropower, and drinking purposes in downstream areas. As glaciers melt, the water initially increases in rivers, leading to floods and landslides in nearby areas. However, this surplus is temporary. Over time, as the glaciers shrink, the flow of water reduces, causing shortages in regions that depend on glacial melt for irrigation and daily use. Communities living near glacier-fed rivers find themselves first battling floods and later facing drought. This inconsistency in water supply makes planning and development extremely difficult and leaves millions vulnerable to sudden environmental changes. The combination of rising heat and melting ice creates a feedback loop that accelerates global warming. When glaciers and ice caps melt, they expose darker surfaces such as rock and soil, which absorb more heat from the sun. This leads to further warming and more melting, creating a cycle that is hard to break. Similarly, heat waves increase the use of cooling systems, which often depend on electricity generated from fossil fuels. This results in more carbon emissions, contributing to climate change and increasing the frequency of extreme weather events. The rising sea levels caused by melting glaciers are another major concern. As ice from glaciers and polar caps enters the oceans, the overall volume of water increases. This leads to the slow but steady submergence of coastal areas, increased saltwater intrusion into freshwater sources, and stronger storm surges during cyclones. Low-lying regions, island nations, and densely populated coastal cities are at risk of being submerged or suffering repeated flood damage. People in such areas are often forced to migrate, resulting in climate-related displacement and adding pressure on already stressed urban centers. Wildlife is also severely affected by these climatic changes. Animals that rely on cold climates and ice-covered habitats are losing their homes and food sources. Marine life is impacted as melting ice disrupts ocean currents and water temperatures. Coral reefs are bleaching, fish migration patterns are changing, and entire food chains are being disrupted. On land, forests face increased fire risks due to prolonged heat, and desertification is expanding into areas that were once fertile. All these changes reduce biodiversity, weaken ecosystems, and reduce the natural resilience of the planet. To withstand future shocks, human health is impacted not only by the direct effects of heat and floods, but also by the spread of diseases. Warmer temperatures create breeding grounds for insects and pathogens, leading to the spread of vector-borne diseases such as malaria and dengue to areas that were previously unaffected. Water scarcity and poor sanitation due to drought or flood can result in the outbreak of waterborne diseases. Respiratory issues increase during heat waves due to poor air quality and increased pollution levels. Mental health is also affected as people struggle with displacement, loss of livelihood, and environmental stress. Addressing the challenges posed by heat waves and melting glaciers requires global cooperation and urgent action. Reducing the emission of greenhouse gases, switching to renewable sources of energy, conserving forests, and promoting sustainable lifestyles are essential steps. Governments need to invest in infrastructure that can withstand extreme temperatures and provide early warning systems for disasters. Urban planning should focus on green spaces, better ventilation, and heat-resilient buildings. Communities must be educated about how to stay safe during heat waves and how to manage water wisely. At the same time, attention must be given to protecting glaciers and the ecosystems they support. Scientific research and monitoring of glaciers are necessary to understand the pace of melting and prepare for future water management. It is also important to support the livelihoods of people dependent on glaciers and create alternative sources of income that do not harm the environment. Stop.